gave up a TV job to start a podcast in your basement. If that doesn't scream midlife crisis, I don't know what does.
It was Championship Sunday here in Indianapolis. What's the mindset then coming in as a defending champion?
I want to win. No, I want to win.
The young lady over my shoulder, Caitlin Clark.
Not the best looking guy. And I don't think anyone's going to sit here and say, Matt Randazzo was really good looking.
What has this last month, 2 months, 3 months been like for you? It's an important fan base for the Fighting Illini, isn't it?
It is.
He turned 69 years young last week. He looked good, Coach.
Oh, try it. Thank you.
Welcome to Off the Air with Matt Randazzo here on a Wednesday, October 22nd. Thank you guys so much for joining us. If you're watching us live on YouTube, thank you for doing that. We appreciate it. Keep doing that. If you haven't subscribed, please do so. If you have, thank you very much. And tell a bunch of friends as well. We're doing this every single day, 10 a.m. Every weekday, and it's been a bunch of fun so far. We're also live on X as well. X is always very good to us. Make sure you're reaching out, responding, all those kind of things to X as well. We'd love the feedback with the show each and every day. We're also on all the podcasting platforms as well. So go to Apple, Spotify, iHeart, Podbean, wherever you get your podcasts. Put in Off the Air with Matt Randazzo, and you can listen to the audio version of the show each and every day. If you're running around town or you're working out or whatever you're doing, and God knows you don't want to look at me, so it makes sense. Do the audio version. It's a lot easier on the eyes as well. And of course, we want to thank all of our viewers in Central Iowa as well that watch the show nightly at 7 p.m. We appreciate that. We love the feedback. A few of you have reached out. Thank you for that as well. We're having a bunch of fun. It's been a fun week so far here on OTA. We've had Pat Anger, Tom Kakert, Ken Prince, Adam Height from North, like Mike LeMay from Sterling Newman. Yesterday, we had a pair of athletic directors in United Township, Scott Harding, and Moline's Todd Thompson, talking about the friendly wager they put on the game between Moline and United Township this past week. So it's been a fun week so far. We're just getting warmed up. A bunch more fun shows to get to before we wrap up the week here as well. You look outside here in the Quad Cities, it's actually cold, which is an interesting thing. Not cold, but it feels like fall, which is kind of fun. New for a change here in the Midwest as well. So enjoying the fall weather. I'm finally convinced my wife to turn the heat on last night. I froze yesterday here during the day. It was like 62 degrees, 61 degrees. And finally we busted out the heat. I know we don't like doing that, but it's almost November. So I think it's okay to get done and do as well. A fun show today. Coming up in a matter of moments, we're going to be joined by the voice of the Gophers, Mike Grimm, an awesome dude that does a fantastic job and has for years and years up in Minnesota, has Iowa roots as well, a lot of them. So we'll talk to him about those, about this week's game between the Hawkeyes and the Gophers. Again, Gophers 5-2, feeling good. Iowa 5-2, feeling good. Both teams 3-1 in the Big Ten. So it's a big game at Kinnick Stadium. The line continues to grow, which is interesting as well. So Iowa and Minnesota on CBS coming up at 2:30 this Saturday. And don't forget as well, we'll kick off the pregame coverage with the Hawkeye Tailgate Show on the Hawkeye Radio Network coming up at 12:30. It will be live from Krause Family Plaza. So if you're roaming around Kinnick Stadium and want to stop by, say hi, Pat Anger will be down there with me for a little bit as well. Please do so. More and more people continue to do that. We love that. Love saying hi to everyone and all those kind of things as well. So if you're in Iowa City, stop by and say hi for the Hawkeye Tailgate Show. Also, in hour number 1 of the show today, we'll talk a little track football, as we always do on a Wednesday, with our good friend Ty Taylor from WRMJ. And along with that, a little singing from another familiar face on the show, good friend Brian Stocking. So I'm excited about that. And then last week, Ness Guess didn't fall through the cracks by any stretch, but with all the shows in Iowa City and our good friend Marc Nesseler being on a cruise, we got things out late. We didn't get to do our normal segment at Hungry Hobo, so we're back. We're back at the Rock Island Hungry Hobo. We recorded it yesterday. We got Marc Nesseler talking college, NFL, getting your picks. It's a long-standing tradition here in the Quad Cities. If you people don't know what Ness Guess is, for 37 years, Marc Nesseler with the Dispatch Rock Island Argyros held the Ness Guess contest. I grew up playing it. Several people, thousands of people did that here in the area as well. We brought it back here to Off the Air. People have loved it. We appreciate the feedback, seeing familiar faces each and every week. Get on and do it. You simply click the link, fill out your picks. It's free to do. And the winners get great food from Hungry Hobo, a awesome sponsor, not just of Off the Air, but of the contest as well, of Ness Guess as well. So that is coming up in just a little bit. So a lot to get to on today's show. Super excited about that as well. Some news and notes real quick before we get rolling into the show. As we look towards this week, we will be doing a show on the road, I think, on Friday. We got to figure out where. I think I got it narrowed down and probably locked in, but I believe we're going to go on the road week 9 of the high school football season. I debated it because I take a lot of this stuff with me when it comes to going on the road. You can't see some of the equipment, but it's not hard to take on the road, but I don't know if the weather, I don't know if it likes cold and all those kind of things. So we're going to keep the forecasts and I don't even know what it is going to be. I haven't even looked ahead to Friday. I used to know the weather every single day because I left the television station at 11 o'clock every night, and I just listened to the weather guy tell it to me 34 times. So I always knew it. And now, I don't know until I wake up and check things out. So we'll get it figured out, but hopefully we're on the road on Friday as well. And then don't forget, we'll do a special show coming up after the Iowa-Minnesota game on Saturday evening. Tom Kakert will join me for those. They're well-watched, which we appreciate. Hopefully, they're much more well-watched if Iowa wins than if Iowa loses. So hopefully the Hawks can get the job done going to the bye week at 6-2 on the season. So the NBA is back. Fuller slate tonight. Last night, just 2 games. The defending champion Thunder outlasting the Rockets in double overtime, 125-123. And Golden State beat the Lakers. So everyone expecting Golden State's run to kind of be done. I know it's one game, but they won 119-109 against the Lakers last night. Game 1 of the World Series coming up on Friday. It is the Blue Jays hosting the Dodgers in game 1. I believe it's a 7 o'clock Central first pitch. So the World Series and I know football dominates and it's king these days, but the Fall Classic and the World Series coming up the next couple of weeks, which will be a ton of fun as well. The NFL trade deadline is coming up on November 4th. So intrigued with that. A lot of rumors about the Bears now 4-2. Do they buy in instead of usually selling at the trade deadline? And a lot of interesting things going on. The NFL trade deadline isn't quite what it is in other sports, but it's getting there. And I think it's getting more intriguing. The problem with the NFL is that not everybody, but a lot of teams are still relevant. So we got to figure out who's selling, who's buying, all those kind of things. But November 4th is when that's coming. And one last Iowa note. Iowa, it's a blackout at Kinnick Stadium. They unveiled they'll be wearing all black uniforms coming up against Minnesota. So it should be a really fun afternoon into the evening when it comes to the Hawkeyes and the Gophers coming up on Saturday. Speaking of that, really excited to welcome our first guest to the show today. And joining us now on Off the Air with Matt Randazzo is the voice of the Gophers, Mike Grimm. Mike, thank you for doing this. I appreciate you.
Yeah, absolutely. Looking forward to coming back to my home state. It's always fun to get to Kinnick Stadium. And heck, we've got a 5-3, 3-1, both teams. It should be a great 119th matchup.
Yeah, no, it's going to be great. We're going to talk about that in a second, but I want to familiarize people a little bit with you because you are an Iowan. You're under, is it fair to say, Gary Dolphin's tree, if that's the thing, the Kirk Ferentz tree? You started working with and doing stuff at the University of Iowa. Kind of talk about that because you're an Iowa native, I think a Manchester native. So the Hawkeyes are kind of in your blood a little bit, aren't they?
Well, I grew up going to games. My love of the Hawkeyes started in 1980 when Lute Olson took the basketball team to the Final Four. I was 9. And then the next year, Hayden Fry took the football team to the Rose Bowl, and I was 10. And I'm like, well, this is great. Every year you got something like this. And then I learned that it isn't an annual thing, but it is, it isn't a long time necessarily between some of those cool things. So I was hooked early. Many of your viewers will recognize the name Ron Gonder, who was the voice of Iowa for, Iowa had that unique setup of radio where there was stations in the Quad Cities that would do games, Cedar Rapids, Des Moines. We had Zabel and Brooks and Gonder really were the big three. Frosty Mitchell, who I worked with and for in WMT. I worked at WMT for 9 years in Cedar Rapids. But I grew up listening to Ron Gonder, and it was listening to him in those Final Four games. And then when they beat Nebraska 10-7 in 81, and I was with my dad in the backyard. I can visualize it now, sitting on our picnic table. And when that game got done, I remember waving my arms as a little 9 or 10-year-old, and I was pretty hooked. And so I was lucky enough then to work with Ron for 8 years at WMT, nicest man in the history of the world, and learned a lot under him. And then Dolph, I got to know Dolph through an internship I had at the Cascade newspaper when I was a student at Luther College. Wow. And he took me to a Bears game when I was 19, and he was the orange sleeve before he was a big deal in Iowa. He was a nobody, and then he got the job, and I was his stat guy and his spotter, and did some pre and post game stuff, and moved to St. Louis for 5 years and back in the Big Ten. My wife's from Minnesota, so this has been a great fit. And it's my 20th year now. I'm getting old, Matt.
Wow. No, I see 20 years with the hoops, 15 with football, and doing it at a high level. I know it's a loaded question and we don't have a ton of time, but what did you learn from Gary Dolphin? If there's one thing or a couple things that you learned from Dolph, he's been so, and you just mentioned it. I mean, he took me, and he's been so kind and nice and supportive. He's always encouraging. Even when I was back in TV in my young days, and I was probably really bad. I don't know if I'm good yet, but he was always nice to me. What have you learned from Gary Dolphin?
I mean, how to treat people mostly. I mean, obviously you learn in the profession, for preparation, know the teams, call a game. I think people, if they listen to me, they would hear a little bit often in some of my commentary. I think they'd hear some Ron Gonder in my commentary, and hopefully they hear a little Mike Grimm too. But mimicking or stealing some stuff from your idols and heroes is to me more compliment than thievery. And so there's some. I think people that are familiar with those guys and then would listen to me for the first time would see some similarities. There's some DNA there, so to speak. But really, there's not a nicer guy in the world. Like I said, when I was 19. Gary's mother, Phyllis, was the office manager at the Cascade Pioneer Advertiser, Iowa, about 40 minutes from my hometown. And every day I drive down there and I cover the softball league and team or semi-pro team. And Gary would stop in and visit his mom. And the second he found I really enjoyed sports writing, but my true love was casting, he's like, hey, I'll take you to a Bears game. And he was doing games in Dubuque. Then I got a job in Cedar Rapids when we would cross football and a job. And I said, whatever. And he's just been a tremendous, I know for a fact he was a huge help in me getting the Minnesota job, because he was the GM at Iowa at the time was buddies with my GM and still current boss, who's a Storm Lake, Iowa, and a Drake grad, Storm Lake native. So there's Iowa connections everywhere. But Dolph is the best. He's the absolute best. I can't say a bad thing about him. He's gotten to be not just a good colleague, but a great friend. My dad passed away in 2019, and Gary Dolphin was a pallbearer at his funeral. He came over to Manchester. My dad had kind of taken a liking to Kinnick when Minnesota played, and because Gary was close, he'd come over and we'd golf together, and he got to be close to my dad. So he's as close of a buddy in this business as I have, for sure.
I love hearing it. Mike Grimm, the voice of the Gophers, joining me right now. There's the grizzled veteran professional legend that is Gary Dolphin, and then there's some upstart Yahoo named Pat Anger that they let put a microphone in front of his face, and Pat says nothing but nice things about you, and he's getting into it and he's new at it. And I don't know how much you have listened. I know the radio guys listen back and forth, and I think that's cool, especially in the Big Ten. Your thoughts of our guy here in the Quad Cities, Pat Anger, and how he's taken to putting a microphone in front of his face for 5 hours every weekend.
Home run. I mean, he's been a home run. I mean, we knew he had personality, but that doesn't always mean that you're going to, translate to radio. Sometimes guys who have great personality talk too much. Radio's a unique situation where the play-by-play guy has to describe it, and then the analyst has to decide when to talk and when not to talk, and he's done it great. One, he offers good insight. There's no doubt about that, but there's big personality there. He's humorous. He's funny. He kind of has a page that I appreciate. I try to do this too, is like, look, it's a game. Let's have some fun. Like, yes, when your team loses, it stinks and it can ruin your night. But at the end of the day, if we're not having fun, and that's probably something Dolph has passed to me, and I'm sure he's passing it on to Pat, but you can hear it on the air in their broadcast. The other thing is they're living and dying with the Hawks, which is great, right? That's what people want to hear. I remember, and I don't know if I'm going to say this quote exactly right, and I don't even know if Pat remembers it, but I was listening to the post-game show. It had to be, I want to say, the 2009 game at Penn State. I think that was the Adrian Claiborne game. My dad was in the hospital at the time, and we were at the Mayo Clinic, and so we watched the game. And I'm like, we want to listen to see what and my dad. Now, I was at the time still the Gopher guy, but following, and my parents obviously were Hawkeyes, and so we're listening, and Gary's interviewing him, and I don't know if you remember this or not.
I know exactly what you're going to say. Go ahead.
He says, what's it like in the locker room? And he said, I think I'm saying this close to right, paraphrasing, just a bunch of naked guys running around.
Just a bunch of happy naked guys running around. That's Pat.
And which is amazing, right? It's amazing. What a great comment, and what a great you talk about being yourself, and if he's himself, he'll be able to do this job forever.
No, he's good people, to say the least. Mike, I want to talk to you about before we talk about the game itself, the rivalry, and you're up there in Minnesota, and you know what it's like here in Iowa, and now you're on the other side of it. And I had one of my son's friends went up to a game, and he's like, it's crazy. They chant, who hates Iowa? We hate Iowa. Who do we hate? Whatever it is. There's no love lost between the two schools. What's it like this week up in Minnesota with this game coming up on Saturday?
Yeah, I mean, obviously they want to win the game. Minnesota has not had great success. PJ's done pretty well against everybody. I mean, he's owned Nebraska so far. He's had the better end of it against Wisconsin. The Gophers had lost 15 straight against the Badgers, and then PJ won the game in 2018, and I think he's 4-3 since. And that was that, and that's probably, frankly, in the Twin Cities, that's probably a bigger rival than Iowa, because there's a hockey aspect to it. And you only have to go 10 miles to the east, and you're in the state of Wisconsin from the Twin Cities. I think you get down by Rochester and more south when hockey's not as big of a deal. Then that Iowa rivalry's big, and the Floyd of Rosedale's the great trophy. But that said, there's no doubt that is a missing piece in this situation. I think Minnesota is 1-9 in the last 10. That one win was a couple years ago in that great game where Iowa fans end up throwing beer cans and pop bottles and whatever else out onto the field after that amazing return, which was I don't want to go down the whole thing. I'm sure people remember. I love the T-shirts that say it wasn't a fair catch, and I always say that's exactly right. That's exactly what the official said. He said it was an invalid fair catch. So on that side of the rivalry now, after years of being on the other side, I went back to a high school friend's dad's funeral the following February, and it was a sad day. It was my Little League baseball coach, but what we talked about for almost the entire post-funeral was the invalid fair catch, and I was trying to explain to the beautiful Hawkeye fans that it was the right call. As much as it sucks to lose that way, I get it, and I don't want to go down the whole path, but you can't talk about this rivalry without talking about, first of all, it was an incredible run. I mean, and it sucks to lose a game that way after the hero, home state hero, makes an amazing catch or a return, but the bottom line I always say is, what would suck even worse is if you lost a game on a play that shouldn't have happened. And that's what would have happened to Minnesota. That play, it's simple. It's like you're either inbounds or out of bounds. There's no in between. The guy, Cooper DeJean waved his arm. Sorry. It's true. And that play should have been whistled dead. It was caught on replay, and the rest is history. And now you're probably going to kick me off the air.
No, not at all. But now I'm going to have to deal with the people on the chat talking about why he's not.
Enjoy everyone hating the Manchester native now.
Mike, can you tell me about PJ Fleck? Because you look at Kirk Ferentz and PJ, and they're completely different. But you look at their players. I talked about it yesterday on the show. Both players, they love their head coach. They do it in a different style. But then you look at the teams, and the teams themselves are very similar when it comes to running the football, playing defense, special teams. What's PJ like? We see the pomp and circumstance and that side of him. What's PJ Fleck like as a head coach and as a guy?
Yeah, well, you're right about the idea that it's funny. The two teams play a lot alike. They don't commit penalties. They play hard nosed. They're physical. They're tough. They're disciplined. They want to play great defense. This year, both teams have been pretty good offensively too. So I think it should be a good matchup based on that. So it's funny. They are different people, there's no doubt, but their teams play and they're coached the same way. They really are. And I've kind of, that's kind of my kind of football anyway. So it's been fun watching this. PJ as a person, so I love him. He's one of the favorite guys I've ever worked with. He is who he is. Like, I know a lot of people say he's a phony, he's a fraud. It couldn't be any further from the truth. And I've worked with a bunch of guys. I've been lucky. Most of the guys, coaches I've worked with, going all the way back. I was there the night Kirk got hired. In fact, the football account, the Iowa Twitter or X account, tweeted out when he set the all-time record. They sent out pictures on their Twitter account of that first opening night news conference, and there's like a collage of 3 pictures. 27-year-old Mike Grimm and John Campbell from Channel 9 are the 2 guys interviewing Kirk in that picture. I don't know if the Hawkeye people realized the voice of the Gophers was the guy in that picture, but I had many people, old buddies and stuff, that saw that texted me the link to that, and I got a kick out of it. But I was there that night, and I was there through a 1-win Kirk Ferentz first year, when people were like, "Uh-oh, this isn't the guy," and you get to know the guy and you realize this could be the guy, and then you're happy to see the success. And in year 4, they're in Miami at the playing USC in the Orange Bowl, game I attended, in fact, as a fan, because I was in St. Louis then at that time, and outside of the outcome, it was amazing to see that stadium full of Iowa fans in Florida. So they're totally different people. I know this. I know PJ respects Kirk Ferentz a lot. He's talked about it a lot. He respects Iowa a lot. He was the first coach, by the way, if you go all the way back in the history books, he was the first coach that had the visiting team wave to the hospital at the end of the first quarter. And it was, it was only a few games into it, but most of the visiting teams up to that point were just kind of minding their own business. PJ practiced it. Thursday at practice that week, he said, here's what's going to happen. PJ's mic'd in practice, so they've got the speakers, and he's like, here's what we're going to do at the end of the quarter. The team waves, we're going to line up along the hash. We're going to turn our backs to the press box and look up and wave to these kids. And PJ does so much here locally for the local hospital, the on-campus children's hospital here, the Masonic Children's Hospital at M Health Fairview. The players go over there weekly. He goes over there. They've got these little chips that they give that they're little motivational. They look like poker chips almost, but they're Gopher, good luck chips. And I think it's big for the families of the kids too, because they need, that can wear you out when your kids are facing what they're facing. And I think it gives the adults there a little boost too, to see players and coaches and stuff come by. So he is who he is. There is no phoniness to it. His wife, Heather's a great person. She always talks about, sometimes she says, PJ, I need a little less PJ right now. Let's turn it down a little bit. So yes, can he be over the top? Can he be pushed? Does he push the envelope at times? Of course, but he means what he says. He is who he is. He even says, "Hey, I'm not for everybody." But man, the guys who play for him play hard, and in that case, he's a lot like Kirk, right? I mean, because the guys will run through walls for Kirk Ferentz, and in PJ's case, it's the same way. These guys buy into the culture. Culture has become a big buzzword, and PJ uses it a lot, but it is true here. Look, at a place like Minnesota and even at Iowa, you can't just win on talent, right? You're not going to out-recruit Ohio State, Michigan, Oklahoma, USC, you name it, Penn State, those teams that you're supposed to, fans expect you to beat those teams, right? And you're not going to out-recruit them. You're just not in the way it is. So you have to develop. You have to hit on the right guys. You have to evaluate well. You have to coach well. And Kirk's done it for all this time. I was joking with PJ today. We taped his coaches, or we have his coaches show. It's live. But I said, Kirk Ferentz, because he was talking about cultural sustainability and what that means. Because obviously in year 9 for him, he's getting to the point where they're starting to hit some things where it's meaningful to have the same guy back year after year. And he's like 27 years for Kirk. And I reminded him, well, Kirk was there in 81 under Hayden Fry. So it's really 44 years. I know there there was a stop in between at Maine and the Browns and the Ravens, but that wasn't a long stop.
Yeah.
I mean, most of the last 44 years, Kirk has been at Iowa. That's a lot of sustainability. And PJ's like, well, I was born in 1980,
Jeez,
so
crazy.
basically his entire life, Kirk Ferentz has had something to do with Iowa football. And PJ's talked about how that is so valuable, and that's what he's pushing for. And of course, every coach is pushing for, I want to be here forever, because it's a well-paying profession, but there's some truth to it. So I don't know if that answered your question. I will say this too, and people are going to, I know that the opposing fans don't like PJ very much. The Nebraska people hated him last week. Iowa people will hate him this week. All I can say is he is who he is. I also see, and people are going to, plug their nose or spit at me on the screen, there's a little Hayden Fry and PJ Fleck. And Hayden was my guy. Like, he turned it around. He's maybe my all-time favorite deal. Think about what Hayden did when he got to Iowa. He changed the school colors. He created a logo that no one had ever seen before, which is now like the 5th or 6th most popular logo. He said scratch where it itches. And if you look at PJ, he's got row the boat on the helmets. And I know the opposing fans are, we'd never allow that. And I'm like, well, Hayden Fry changed the freaking school colors, right? Like, they weren't Pittsburgh Steelers school colors. He made a new logo.
Yeah.
Like the Tiger Hawk had never been thought of. And so there's been some changes. He said scratch where it itches. PJ says row the boat. There's a little bit of salesmanship to Hayden over the years, and certainly PJ has some salesmanship to him too. I know Iowa people don't want to hear that because they love to hate whoever you're playing. All I can say is all I know is I know what I see, and PJ, I love the guy. I do.
Mike, I only got a few minutes left with you, and we need to do a 2-hour special because I'm enjoying the heck out of this. But before we let you go, the game itself, and we didn't get too much of it, but it's a big game. 5-2 versus 5-2. You mentioned 3-1, 3-1. Both teams have high aspirations. Both teams coming off big wins.
Yeah.
And at home. What's the difference in this one, or what does each team need to do to be successful, especially from the Minnesota side of things that you get to see each and every day?
Yeah, it's a great question, and I think if you'd asked me a week ago today, I would have said, well, the Gophers are going to have to try to run pass the football against the Hawkeyes, and because Minnesota's really struggled in the run game, and then they just ran it down Nebraska's throat last Friday. So now I'm not sure what because obviously Iowa's defense is just what it is. PJ today and this week has talked about it's just the same. It's different people, but the same guys. You look at film 2 years ago, they're different numbers, but Iowa knows what they are, right? They're going to go recruit the same kind of guy. They know what they want in their middle linebacker. They know what they want in their edge rushers. They know what they want in their D tackles, and they go recruit those guys, develop the heck out of them, turn them into NFL players, and it equates to a lot of wins. So the strategies probably don't change much when you play Iowa. I have always been under the impression that sometimes because Iowa's so sound and they make you pay for mistakes, that it almost self-fulfills sometimes because the opposing coaches are so scared to make a mistake. They play conservative as heck and they button it up, and it plays right into Iowa's hands because now you're guarding 8 yards of the field, and you're intercepting a 2-yard pass because you don't have much area to defend, and when there's bodies everywhere within that area. So if you look back, I think sometimes it might be a situation where teams that want to stretch the field sometimes might have a little success, but it's hard to play. And Kinnick's a wicked place to go try to win. I think I looked up Minnesota's 3-19 in their last since like 82.
Wow.
Going down there. I went to my second Hawkeye game ever was Iowa, Minnesota in 1981. And Minnesota won that game 12-10 on 4 Jim Gallery field goals.
Jeez.
And my last Iowa-Minnesota game at Kinnick was 2 years ago, and Minnesota won that game 12-10 on 4 Dragan Kesich field goals. So is that for some tree there?
Love it.
And I don't know. I don't even know if it's going to be a low-scoring or high-scoring game. Gronowski changes things because he can run, so it's not a typical Iowa drop-back quarterback team, and it's not a typical Minnesota. We're going to just try to Muhammad Ibrahim you to death and let him run 42 times and see where that takes us, because they're going to throw. I mean, they're going to try to throw. They've got a really impressive quarterback. The Gophers do. Just Drake Lindsey's the real deal. So I think we're in for some surprises, Matt. I guess that's the cop-out answer. I don't know what to expect. I think we're in for some surprise on Saturday.
I think it's going to be another fantastic game. I've really enjoyed this, Mike. I'm going to be roaming around Friday, probably around those radio guys on our side. And so if you're out and about, I'm going to owe you a beer or two. So I appreciate you coming and doing this, and I can't wait to meet you in person, and we'll talk again real soon.
I'll look forward to it. That's the other reason I hang out with Dolph, because he's always picking up the check.
I can't wait. I love to hear that. So, Mike, I appreciate you. We'll talk to you again real soon.
All right. Yeah, let's do it again. Thanks, Matt.
All right. That is Mike Grimm, the voice of the Gophers, joining us here and Off the Air with Matt Randazzo. We got more to get to. We'll be right back. All right, be honest. Are you craving Hungry Hobo again? You know, that fresh sliced meat piled high on those amazing sandwiches, hot off the grill chicken and steak with all those delicious toppings, the biggest and best selection of baked potatoes, or simply some waffle fries dipped in cheese. Well, now that Quad City favorite is even easier to get. Download the Hungry Hobo app today. Order ahead, skip the line, and earn rewards all at the same time. There's Double Points Monday and exclusive specials as well. With 12 locations in the Quad City area, it's Hungry Hobo. Now even easier to find, but still hard to resist.
Rafferty Funeral Home, dedicated to serving families in the Quad Cities since 2007.
Hi, welcome. Yeah, come on in.
An experienced staff plans each service to reflect the unique life and legacy of your loved one. Rafferty Funeral Home is proud to serve our community with dignity, respect, and compassion, helping you to celebrate your traditions and lasting memories no matter your faith, culture, or budget. Rafferty Funeral Home in Moline. Call today to discuss prearrangements.
When it comes to quality, convenient pizza, Godfather's Pizza in Silvis has you covered. Featuring a beautiful dine-in area, delivery, and a carry-out window. Godfather's Pizza is that pizza you grew up with, not a convenience store. You see, at Godfather's Pizza, the dough is made fresh daily. That mozzarella cheese is shredded fresh and never frozen. And those toppings are abundantly piled high each and every time. Locally owned and operated since 2010, Godfather's is a huge supporter of local athletes right here in the Quad Cities. So come on by and check them out at 1211 Avenue of the Cities in Silvis. Order online at godfathers.com and reunite with that same delicious pizza you grew up with. Welcome back to Off the Air with Matt Randazzo here on a Wednesday in the Quad Cities. It is Wednesday, which means we talk a little high school football every Wednesday. And week 9 of the high school football season is here. The regular season is over after this week, so we have to talk to our good friend from WRMJ. Ty Taylor joins us now. You've officially done it, young man. You've made it through week 9 of the season without coming to my humble abode and spending the morning with the creepy 46-year-old in his loft. Like, I think it's a smart move on your part. Well played. But I just wanted a Polar Pop. That's all I wanted.
Yeah, well, that's what they all say at first, you know. But yeah, I've never hung out with a 46-year-old in the loft before in the one greater Rock Island County area. So maybe next year, maybe in the winter, I can come by and we can get to see what's going on over there.
Yeah, it sounds normal, doesn't it? It sounds all great. It's how an after-school special starts, is literally how it does.
Exactly.
So, it is weird that week 9 of the high school football season is officially here. But week 8 was great in the track. We had so many great things. We had Rockridge and Monmouth Roseville, and Rockridge dominating. We'll talk about it in a second. We had playoff berths being clinched, including in a little place called Riverdale. And so I figured there's no better excuse to re-listen to the one and only Brian Stocking than right now here and Off the Air. So since Stockpile won't even come on the show anymore, I asked him and he's like, how much? And I gave him like an offer and he laughed at it. So I can't even afford Stockpile anymore. So without further ado, on the Instant Reax podcast, Brian Stocking, Riverdale alum, was very excited that his Rams made the postseason. Take a listen.
They earned their way, and that's the most important thing. They're in the playoffs, they earned it, and no one can take that from them.
And that's the bottom line.
And they didn't because Stockpile said so.
Stockpile, sing the song.
Here we go. Sing the song.
I got to pull it up first.
All right. Zach is calling it out. We all want it. Let's go.
I'm getting there. I got to pull it up first.
Okay.
Got to make sure the pipes are all in and
You
working.
didn't have it memorized?
Huh? It's
Didn't you have it memorized?
Dazzo, I have trouble. I barely can remember some things. All right, here we go. We're loyal to you, Riverdale. We'll always be true, Riverdale. Our team, it is grand. It is the best in the land. So we'll fight on for you tonight. So Rams, fight on. We're for you. We know just how much you can do. We'll fight and we'll win. So Rams, now let's begin to fight for Riverdale High. G, Riverdale High School, rah, rah, rah.
Yes.
Yes.
And when I was in high school, we also knew, let's see, we'll always be, we're going to fight for Riverdale till the walls and rafters sing. We're going to fight for Riverdale.
I always love the verse.
Yeah.
He's
Classic,
a national
classic.
treasure.
I'll tell you what, he is a national treasure, and he did run out of steam a little bit at the end there. I think in both fight songs he was singing. I think my favorite part about that is like you see him doing this, and then you just see, and I think this tells you everything you need to know about Brian Stocking. Is like his coworkers are just walking behind him, not bothered at all. It's just normal, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like they're just used to Brian Stocking's antics. He's just singing the fight song in the background. Everyone's just going about it like it's a normal day. That's Brian Stocking. That's why we love him, right?
There were a few parts that reminded me of singing a song where I think I know the lyrics, and then I just go, because he was like, G, like I promise the words aren't, but like he nails and he keeps going. What was it? Corey Cuffler sent, I don't know if you have it, Ty, I should send it to you, a angle from the newsroom. So Corey was recording it in the newsroom at WQAD, which I thought was outstanding. So I figured we had to start off our weekly segment with one of our favorite people and Brian Stocking. If you're having trouble getting through your Wednesday, doesn't that just make Hump Day a-okay, right?
It does make it okay. Normally I have to wait till Fridays to get to interact with Stocking, but it's nice that in a way I can take a look at his, beautiful face and get to hear his beautiful voice on a Wednesday. And, I would normally, like I said, get to see him and talk to him on Fridays, but 2 days a week this week I get to hear from Stocking in a way. So it gets me ready to talk track football in week 9 and hear Brian Stocking singing.
There's no better way to do it. Ty, I want to start with that we're going to talk about the Rams in a second and what they have coming up this week, which is intriguing as well. But I want to start with the big game last week, and it was undefeated teams in week 8 of the high school football season. So 7-0 versus 7-0. Rockridge versus Monmouth Roseville. You wouldn't give me a pick last week, which was smart. I wish you would have, because I probably would have been smarter. I went Monmouth Roseville. And then I went over to Edgington that night, and I had a few people yelling at me when it was 28-0, like, you're an idiot, Randazzo, get out of town, Randazzo. There was one guy no, I'm just kidding. Nobody threatened me or anything, but I did hear it, which is understandable. My whole thought process was what Greg's is I just compared and contrast a really good game with Princeton. I thought that, Monmouth Roseville looked more impressive against Princeton. Don't ever do that. Don't ever do the replacement theory. It never works very well in sports. But Rockridge, after a slowish first quarter, really gets rolling. They go up 28-0 at the half. They score in the final seconds to do that. They passed every test with flying colors. I wasn't surprised they won, Ty. I don't think anybody saw what they did on Friday night happening to the Titans.
Yeah, 100%. And I agree with you that, I picked them to win on Friday morning. But if you told me they would have been leading, or if either team would have been leading 34-0 at one point, I would have been really surprised. And I think, kind of what you were saying, their performance 0-0 after one quarter, and then it's 28-0 at halftime. And I know in the game they scored 2 defensive touchdowns, really shut down Monmouth Roseville offensively. And Monmouth Roseville is a team who's averaging up over 40 points per game this season. To hold them to just 12 or whatever it was was such an impressive feat. Because I think last week we talked about this coming into the week. Coach Graves, he was a little bit upset with how, especially they played defensively up front against Mercer County the week before. But man, they bounced back with a fantastic performance against Monmouth Roseville, and just the explosiveness offensively. It's something we talk about. Rockridge, they have it, and it feels like no matter who they play, they're going to be able to put up, at least probably 4 touchdowns, I would think. And they just are so tough to stop because they have so many weapons. They have so much athleticism. And then you factor in the quarterback too. I mean, it's not just him. It's the wideouts, the running back, and then Schweigen kind of brings it all together. So they're a complete team. We talked about it a couple weeks ago. They're a team that I legitimately believe has the chance to win a state championship in Class 2A. They're ranked number 1 in the state last week. I assume they'll hold that ranking this week after what they did on Friday night. So yeah, it was an impressive performance, and I think really like a statement win for them going into the playoffs with what they were able to do and kind of the manner they were able to do it in.
We've covered a lot of Rockridge teams that are really good. I have in my 25 years. I said on Instant Reax, I think this might be the best team that Rockridge has ever had, and that's saying something. And before I say that, I'm not going back into the 90s and 80s and all that kind of stuff, but in my coverage of Rockridge, I think they're really good. We expected them to be faster. We thought Monmouth Roseville would be more physical. Ty, they were both. They were the more physical team, and they were the more athletic team. And I think that's one thing that really stood out to me as well. Great night at Rockridge, great night in the booth. When you have Jim Taylor and Glenn Cook, who told me on this show like 3 weeks ago that he can't see. So I love the fact that he's like, I can't see, but he's giving great analysis of a football game because that's Glenn. He can do those kind of things. I thought that was awesome. They now hit the road and they play a Hall team that's gotten better. They lost last week, but they have 3 victories on the season. There's always that like letdown game type of thing, Ty. I don't see any letdown at all with this team. Talking with Sam Graves after the game, and you were there with us on Instant Reacts, this team still has a chip on their shoulder, and they're 8-0 and blowing everybody out, and they still want to play better, and they use little things like idiots like Greg Armstrong picking against them to like motivate them a little bit. I don't see them have any problems on Friday night. Your thoughts on their game going on the road against Spring Valley Hall?
I don't either. I mean, like I talked about last week with them, they're just so talented, and they're so much more talented than a lot of the teams they play in terms of just pure, players on the field when you go 11 on 11 every snap. I think the only thing that concerns me, like you said, is just that it's almost like the prototypical trap or letdown game because they play this game at home last week where there's a huge crowd, a huge game going into it, 2 undefeated teams. They roll Monmouth Roseville, and they also now have the, looking ahead to, okay, the next day we're finding out who we play in the playoffs. The next week we're beginning our playoff run. So it's almost like you're between like the 2 biggest parts of the season. I think that was certainly the biggest game they played in was last week against Monmouth Roseville. And then of course you get to the playoffs, and that's what you work all year for. So they have this week 9 game, right in the middle of all that, at Hall, really long road trip against, like you said, a team that I think has improved throughout the season. But I don't think that Rockridge is a group. And like you were saying, Coach Graves has talked a lot about, staying focused and wanting to not just win games, but show why they are ranked number 1 in the state, why they are the best team in the conference. And I think they're a group that is really focused. They bought into that. So I expect them on Friday to probably take that type of attitude there and put a performance together where they put the game away early like they should, and get ready for the playoff bracket reveal the next night.
Yeah, I mean, the playoff bracket thing's interesting. I'm going to talk a little bit about that in a second. But on the flip side of it, Monmouth Roseville goes from this special 7-0 season to everyone wondering if the sky is falling and all that nonsense. That's still a really good football team. And I think sometimes on certain nights, things just snowball and they go the wrong way and it gets out of hand quickly. They head back home. They now have senior night and they welcome a really good Newman team to town. A Newman team that put up 79 points last week. We had Mike LeMay on the show earlier this week. 79 points, 43 in the first quarter, which is wild. Your thoughts on that game, because Monmouth Roseville doesn't get to go home and lick their wounds and play somebody with maybe a bad record. They get a really good Newman team coming to town this Friday night.
That's how the schedule works out for them, where, probably the two best teams they have on the regular season schedule are in weeks 8 and 9. I talked about that with Coach Adolphson a few weeks ago, and it's kind of an interesting thing because maybe you would like one game like that in the last 2 weeks, but two of them, and then you go into the 3A playoffs, which are always, it feels like a murderer's row. So it is interesting. I think, too, I agree with you. I think Monmouth Roseville still is a very, very good team. And if you look at that game against Rockridge, Monmouth Roseville, they're just not really built to come from behind when they get down by multiple scores, where they got down 14-0, and then, you're starting to have to play a little bit out of your comfort zone. And I think that the third touchdown Rockridge scored was a pick six. So, if Monmouth Roseville gets up 7-0 or 14-0, they're probably not throwing that pass. And then from there, now you're down 3 scores, and you got to try to, hurry and put something together, try to get back in the game. So I do think that they're still very good. Newman, though, is very good too. And this is a game that both teams, there's a lot on the line because it's a lot better and a lot more favorable when you go into the postseason at 8-1 than it is at 7-2. At 8-1, you're guaranteed most years to play at home. 7-2, you're kind of on the borderline of, okay, we might have to play on the road in round 1, which nobody really wants to do, I think, to start. So it is a big game. I think that it should be very competitive. Both teams very good up front. Both teams very strong defensively, too, for the most part throughout the season. So, and both teams' their only loss has been to Rockridge. So it's I think a pretty evenly matched game. Monmouth Roseville beat them last year, but I don't know who's a favorite. If you ask me that, I don't know. It feels like another one of those games where it's a toss-up going in because the matchup does feel pretty even and pretty feels like every level of both teams, I think.
As a little tease, it is a toss-up, and Ty Taylor will have his picks on WRMJ.com coming up. What is it? Do they drop Friday morning? Is it Thursday morning?
Friday mornings, yeah, with Greg Armstrong, Mitch Stormer, but not Matt Randazzo.
Yeah. No, well, thank you for noting that. We appreciate that. You look at Newman too, Ty. I thought all season they go to 1A, which is a gauntlet, but they're a really good team and can do some damage. According to Michael LeMay on this show earlier this week, as of right now, Newman would be a 2A team playing in 2A. Now they bounce back and forth, so a lot will depend on what happens on Friday night. But you mentioned 8-1 and 7-2. You could have a Monmouth Roseville team that goes 7-0, and they're thinking home playoff game and all that kind of stuff. And then all of a sudden they go and they lose their last 2 games and they're on the road someplace in 3A. So big game on Friday night, probably the best game in the TRAC. We mentioned Riverdale. Let's talk a little more about him besides Brian Stocking singing away. Feel really great the way they got to do it at home against who'd they play? I can't even remember. It was
they played you're putting me on. They played Hall. Yeah.
They played Hall. Thank you. So they get the job done, and you look at it. People, I think, at the beginning of the season said, or not maybe 3 weeks ago, said like if they don't get it against Hall, they'll get it week 9 against Sherrard. I don't know if that's the case anymore. Like I think Riverdale's still the favorite, and I still think they win the game, but Sherrard's been playing well. But first, focus on getting into the postseason, and it's well documented. They went from not having a varsity team to going 0-9. I remember going over to Rockridge early for that first season that they were back, and I think I was there for like 4 minutes before Rockridge had 2 touchdowns and I was running to the next game. And now they're in the postseason. Hats off to Guy Derricks. Just a cool thing going on in Riverdale, and an important game this week as well.
Yeah, we had him on our Sportsline program on Saturday, Coach Derricks, and it was fun to talk to him about, just the journey of that program coming basically from being dead for a year to rising from the ashes basically, and, putting this run together where it is a process. Like you said, the first year they came back to playing 11-man football from having to cancel the varsity season in 2022. They went 0-9, but they've, steadily improved. They were playing a lot of young kids that season. And to be able to do this, and I say this every time I talk about it, when a team cancels a varsity season, a lot of the times that tells you that they're probably never going to either never come back, or the program is going to take a long, long time for them to be competitive again. But Riverdale took, last year they were very competitive, and this year, they've won 5 games, have a chance to win a 6th. They're going to be playing a 10th game for the first time since 2011. So I think it's a testament to Coach Derricks, of course, and the kids who stuck it out and have built this thing. And I just can't imagine what the like community feeling or vibe is, because it's been so long since they've been in the playoffs. And when I was over there earlier this year when they played Mercer County, and they had a fantastic crowd. It was loud. There was like a buzz when you got there because there is this excitement around the program, which is great. So yeah, hats off to them. They all deserve a lot of credit for that. And I agree with you. I think the game this week with Sherrard has become really interesting, because Sherrard, as we've talked about throughout the year, has dealt with a lot of adversity with their personnel, whether it be injuries or illness. They had to forfeit the game against Princeton in week 3. But they've won 2 in a row, both by 40-plus point margins against Kewanee and Orion. And I think this game has the potential to be competitive and close. And I've talked about this with Sherrard with people. I mean, if things don't go awry with them, with so many kids being unavailable and the weird ejection that happened with Carter Brown, I mean, they likely probably win both of those games against Hall and Mendota that he had to miss parts of. So you're talking about a team that's 4-4 this week, if that's the case. And I think if he didn't get hurt in the first quarter against Mercer County in week 2, they potentially could have won that game. So then you're talking about a team that's 5 wins coming into this week. So that's, they're at full strength for the most part now. So that's the team that Riverdale's playing. They're not playing the team that was getting hammered by everybody early in the year when they didn't have anybody. They're playing the team that has been playing really well. So and I think a team that if they had everybody throughout the year would be contending to play in the playoffs. So it should be a competitive game, I think.
It's almost like Dan McGuire knows how to coach, Ty. Weird, huh?
Yes.
It's almost like that Wiley veteran who did it for so long and so successfully at Moline. Just take 25 years off and come back and do it again. So it's a really cool thing. It'll be an interesting game for sure. I want to kind of look at the flip side of that. And it's not a game we're going to focus on too much, but you have Kewanee and Orion, and Kewanee hasn't won, and Orion just 2 victories, and they had thoughts of postseason. They dealt with injuries throughout the season, all of that. But I'd be remiss it'll be the last game in an Orion uniform for Cale Filler and Owen Voorhees and some seniors that did some really good things at Orion. I know it's not the way they wanted to go out, but they're going to leave. You look at the record books, Ty, and those 2 names are going to be all over it for probably quite some time.
Yeah, they've been a really fun duo to watch, where Cale holds virtually every passing record at Orion. Owen Voorhees, he broke the, I think, receiving yardage record either last week or the week before. So yeah, it's a duo that is record setting, I think you definitely can say. And like I said, they have such a good connection. I mean, it feels like, and it's felt like watching them, and I talked about this, Coach Filler, a lot too. Now their defense has struggled over the past few years to get consistent stops, but Orion's offense, it feels like they're always going to put up points in games, and that's thanks in large part to what Cale Filler and Owen Voorhees have done. So it is, I think, sad that this is the last time they'll play together at Orion, because they are such a high level, like I think advanced high school quarterback and wide receiver combination, because I think Cale is such a smart, quarterback, where he maybe doesn't have all of the natural, like, athletic ability, talking about like size, strength, quickness, speed, but he just is a great high school quarterback. He knows the game in and out. And Owen Voorhees is just a fantastic athlete. I mean, the speed, the athleticism, the catching ability, the route running, he has all of it too. So certainly, I think it's important to note that those are 2 players who have had a really huge impact at Orion, but have been, really successful. I mean, individually, and of course they want the team success, which they haven't got over the past 4 years, really. But yeah, they've both been a big part of that program, without a doubt.
You look at the other interesting game in the conference, and it's kind of a quietly sleepy good game, is Erie Prophetstown and Princeton. And here's Erie Prophetstown making the playoffs. They're in. But you looked at this maybe at the beginning of the year, and you're like, man, Erie Prophetstown's got to win this game, get to 5 before this game, because, man, that's hard to go to Princeton. And it is hard to go to Princeton and win. And they are playing much better football, and they've had documented tough times, and when it comes to some tough losses and all that kind of stuff. Really a good football team. 2 good football teams that'll play in week 10. And you mentioned it, both of them not just trying to get a victory in the season, but how they look in the playoffs and where they go in the playoffs will be dependent on what happens on Friday night.
Yeah, I agree with you that I think at the beginning of the season, you looked at this game as maybe a game that Princeton would be pretty heavily favored in. But I don't think that's the case anymore. I think Erie Prophetstown has a shot for sure to win this game. Now, if they were to get a win, that would be their 7th win. I mean, they're 6-2 right now. Erie Prophetstown is, and they've been really impressive. Like, I expected them to be a playoff team, but I expected them probably to hover around like 5 wins if they were to get in like they did last year. But I mean, to have 6 wins coming into this week and looking to get a 7th, I mean, I think they have a pretty solid senior group. Like, their quarterback, Keegan Winkler, has had a fantastic season. And up front, they've been pretty strong throughout the year, too. Where Princeton, it's kind of different because they're not as of a veteran-laden team as Erie Prophetstown is, and they've been kind of progressing throughout the season with a lot of new pieces. I talked with Coach Pearson early in the year, and he mentioned it when they got beat by Newman. I think he said 17 of their rotational pieces that night were playing basically their first meaningful varsity snaps. And, of course, they had to miss a game in the middle of the season that Sherrard forfeited against them in week 3. So they've only played in 7 games coming into this week. So that, maybe could have stunted a little bit of their growth, not getting the game experience. But I saw them last week against Mercer County. They got off to a slow start in the first half, but then put it away in the second half, talking about Princeton. And Casey Etheridge had a huge night. I mean, he's Princeton's all-time leading rusher. I think he's now scored the most touchdowns in program history as well. Last week, I think he scored 4 touchdowns 2 weeks ago, scored 5 against Mercer County, and had over 200 yards rushing in both of those games the past couple of weeks. So he's a kid that kind of carries them. So that's, I think, the key for Erie Prophetstown is to try to slow him down as much as they can, because Princeton doesn't have that much of a passing attack, really. But I expect this to be a very competitive game. Like you said off the top, it's a game that I think where we are now after things have played out this year, it's a lot closer of a matchup than maybe we would have projected coming into the year.
Ty, you're sitting there in a historic, beautiful downtown Aledo, and then obviously the Mercer County Golden Eagles, the flagship station or the team of WRMJ. It hasn't been the typical Mercer County season. But the cool part about week 9 is you can always go out there and win your last game and leave on a high and all those kind of things. They have that opportunity this week. I know they go on the road, which means you go on the road to beautiful Mendota, Illinois, but a winnable game for Mercer County and a way to maybe end a very disappointing season on a high note, especially for those seniors and those guys leaving the program this year.
Yeah, that's something that I've talked about on our, broadcast the last couple of weeks is like, you focus so much time when you're in this season about, okay, how do we get to 5 wins? How do we get to the playoffs? And Mercer County took their 5th loss in week 6. So, the last 3 weeks, obviously we've known that they're not going to be playing in the postseason. And I think, at that point, I've been saying, like, it feels like you can just like sit back and now watch and like enjoy, like if you're the parents or the kids or whatever, and just like enjoy playing, because there isn't really the pressure anymore. You're just kind of playing the game, and they've played really well the last 2 weeks, I thought, against Rockridge and Monmouth Roseville. I think it's 2 of their better performances, if not their 2 best performances they put on the field all year. Now, they haven't been able to get enough stops defensively to stay in those games for 4 quarters, but they were in both of those games against Rockridge and Princeton, respectively, into the 3rd quarter. They actually led Princeton last week 15-14 at a point in the 3rd quarter before letting the game kind of get away late in the 3rd and then throughout the 4th quarter. But I was saying too, I'm excited to go to the game Friday night because you get the chance to see those kids, and the Mendota side is the same way. Get to compete, basically for the last time, a lot of those kids. And I think in week 9, when there are games like this where there are 2 teams that are playing that don't really have anything on the line, you just get the chance to see the kids play the game, and I think that's something that will be fun Friday night. I do think they have a chance to win. I would say Mercer County, probably just with the way the year has gone for both teams, like a slight underdog in this game. But I think if they play well, they'll be able to get a win on the road to close the season and have a happy 2-hour bus ride home on Friday night.
Is that what it is? Is it 2 hours for you?
2 hours.
Might as well go to Chicago.
Or exactly. That's what I was saying. 4 hours round trip, man. Whew.
That's why they pay you the big bucks, young man. Like, that's why it's a glamorous lifestyle. That's why you live in the mansions that you live in and do all the things you get to do. Before I let you go, it is kind of the end of the season after this week, obviously regular season. Besides Rockridge, what's the storyline from this year's track? And let me rephrase that. I like, how good can the track be in the postseason? I think they've been fun to watch. I think they've been very competitive. I think it's a good conference. How good is it compared to what the rest of the state has? You look back to last year. What team was it? Erie Prophetstown as a 5-4 team, nearly won their first round game. I mean, very close. So how good can this conference be against the rest of the state?
Well, I think that's a question that always is hard to answer, because talking about the TRAC specifically, I mean, there's 12 teams in the league split across 2 divisions, so they all only play each other. None of them have any non-conference games, from people outside of the league. And I think when you have that, you don't really know how good the league is compared to everybody else. I mean, like I said, I expect Rockridge to have a successful postseason run. Monmouth, Roseville, and Princeton will be in 3A, which is tough to win in that bracket. But Princeton, I mean, has been to at least the quarterfinals the last 5 years in the postseason. I think Monmouth, Roseville definitely could win some playoff games in the 3A postseason. And Erie, Provincetown, and Riverdale will be in 2A, along with Newman, who, as you mentioned earlier, is kind of on the 1A, 2A line, but is trending more towards 2A, I think, as we get closer to the postseason. I think, Newman should be able to win a game or 2 in the postseason. They've been really impressive this season. And then you just, you never know with the draw, though. I mean, it depends heavily on who your opponent is and where they come from and who the teams they've played throughout the season. So Erie, Provincetown, and Riverdale, depending on what the Panthers do this week, if they win, they potentially could be at home. Though I think if they even do go 7-2, they likely would still be probably on the road to start the playoffs. Riverdale will definitely be a road team in round 1. But like you said, I think there's enough quality teams in this conference that everybody who is in the playoffs deserves to be there. Or in some leagues, you see teams that get in and then you watch them play in the first round and you're like, this team, is not a playoff team and probably should be it certainly isn't one of the 32 best in this classification. But I think each team in the Three Rivers every year, if you qualify, you earn it. You got to beat good teams to get in. So we'll see, I guess, is my answer. But like I said, I expect probably at least 3 teams to win in the first round of the 6 that qualified. So we'll see if I'm right or not.
I feel like I just asked my dad to go spend the night at a friend's house, and he gave me a long rambling answer and then just told me we'll see. Like, that's what I feel like. I feel like, all right, Dad. But hey, you know what? A we'll see is better than a no, or in this case, they're not very good. I think they are. And you mentioned Rockridge. I think they're on a different level. I don't know how like you said, I'd love to see how they would do against a Farmington. Obviously it's a marquee matchup and maybe a semifinal game or whatever, but there's you don't get to see it outside the conference. But I think, Rockridge talent wise, and especially what they did to a really good 3A team last week, I think they have all the ability in the world to play in a state championship game. And Ty, it's been too long. It's been too long since we've had an area team playing on Black Friday. So a lot of intrigue when it comes to all of that as well. Will you do this again next week? I mean, there's going to be track teams playing.
I was going to say, I was going to end by asking you if I was now going to be kicked off the air with Matt Randazzo rotation for a little bit. I absolutely will be here. It's the only thing that gets me going on Wednesday mornings. That midweek, it gives me a boost to get to Friday, man.
Well, we've been messing with people the last couple of weeks with when's Ty going to be on, when's Ty not going to be on. He's back to his regularly scheduled Wednesday appearance. We appreciate it. You'll have Mercer County and Mendota on WRMJ. You'll also have the Rockridge game versus Hall. You'll have Sherrard versus Orion. No, Sherrard versus Riverdale, and Orion versus, help me. We just did all this. Kewanee. Gosh, you guys are going to be busy. Is the old man working this week?
He's making the trip to Spring Valley, Illinois for us to watch the Rockets, or I should say call the Rockets and the Hall Red Devils. Yeah, so we've got him a courtesy car lined up. Surprisingly, it's not like a limo that he didn't request someone to drive him all the way there in a limo, but no, we got a car lined up for him, so he'll be making the trip. I believe Coach Cook is going with him. I believe, though, my dad will be driving because, as you mentioned, Glenn Cook, he tells me all the time, too, I can't hear and I can't see. And then I say, well, how'd you get here? He goes, oh, well, I drove. I'm like, well, wait. I'm like, how are you getting home?
He told me, he's like, others just need to be careful. And I'm like, well, that makes sense. So be a defensive driver. That's why I tell my son, who's 16 and now driving, is be a defensive driver. It's good to see the Hall of Famer hitching his wagon to the best team in 2A at the end of the season. He's no dummy.
No, of course he is. Yeah, that's typical of him. And I do want to say, you mentioned it's been too long since we've had local teams at the state championship games. Now, we have the chance right now to be proud of our alma maters because 2012, my Mercer County Golden Eagles and your Alderman Pioneers were both down in Champaign,
yes,
man.
I remember that. And Mercer County won.
Yes, I was a freshman that year. I was on the sidelines for that team.
It was cold. It was cold.
Brutal.
And we had brutal. 3 that year because Stockton at the time we covered, and then we quit covering. I don't know if the Quad City market covers them. They're just like that tweener team where it's like you don't know, they're watching Rockford, they're kind of watching us. So we covered them, and then it was Mercer County in 2A, and then Alleman at night against Rochester. And I don't like Rochester. I mean, that's just an Alleman thing. So, all right, my friend, I'll let you go. We'll talk to you next week. All right.
Sounds good, man. We're ready for playoff football. Let's do it.
It's coming. All right, buddy. Thank you. That is Ty Taylor from WRMJ talking track football like we do every Wednesday right here on Off the Air with Matt Randazzo. And we're kicking things off with Brian Stocking singing. If it doesn't get any, it just doesn't. It doesn't get any better than that. So we got more to get to. Coming up next, it's back as well. After going on a cruise that was supposed to be to the Bermuda Triangle and ended up being in Canada, Marc Nesseler is back. Ness Guess is back. That weekly segment coming up from wonderful and beautiful Hungry Hobo in Rock Island is straight ahead. You're watching Off the Air with Matt Randazzo right here on a Wednesday in the Quad Cities.
Give me the keys. Learning to drive can be stressful for both the student and, yes, the parent as well. Relax. There's an easy way to avoid the stress. Skiles Driving School in East Moline has been helping new drivers hit the road with confidence for over 20 years. Whether you're a teen earning your first license or an adult looking for behind-the-wheel training, we've got you covered. Their certified instructors are patient, experienced, and use modern vehicles equipped for safety and comfort. From classroom instruction to real-world driving, we make learning safe, affordable, and even fun. Call 309-278-0098 or visit skylesdriving.com. Skiles Driving School. Get in, buckle up, drive your future forward.
Are you looking to take your next party, tailgate, or golf outing to the next level? You need Mobile Party Experience. MPX features 3 top-of-the-line party trailers equipped with all the amenities you need to party like a rock star. Smart TVs, Yeti coolers, JBL sound systems, grills, bathrooms, and much more. Mobile Party Experience is an experience like no other. Check out my-mpx.com or call 563-514-1470 and book your Mobile Party Experience today. Welcome back to Off the Air with Matt Randazzo here on a Wednesday in the Quad Cities. And a lot of people missed you last week.
Yeah, well, I missed them somewhat. I was actually, tell you the truth, I wasn't thinking about anything but being on vacation.
It's awesome. So Ness Guess, we're here with our
didn't
normal.
Didn't even think about math.
And Ness Guess, which is good, with our normal Ness Guess segment. We had the poll out last week. Thank you for everybody who got in, but we didn't have the normal, regularly scheduled segment that we have. Ness was cruising. The problem is you didn't know where you were cruising until the last second.
We were supposed to go to the Bermuda Triangle. We ended up at Madison Square Garden. So I got my math in. But no, because of Hurricane Jerry or Tropical Storm Jerry, which was close to Bermuda, we ended up getting rerouted to Canada.
Oh, no way.
Yeah, St. John's. I know I got the Canada hat. I got the Canada sweatshirt. The kids will love this because Canada was founded in 1867, 6-7. See, there we go. Yep.
Second straight
show. Second straight show. We're going to keep that up. I did okay the last time I had it. we broke even last week. But anyway, we came back and we cruised up the East Coast to Canada. A little chillier. We found out at 8:30 the night before we left that it was going to be in Canada, so we had to repack. I know that flies all over the place. He likes the show.
Yeah. Finally.
Yeah.
Somebody
does.
found somebody.
Anyway, we had ditched the shorts and the sandals, and we had to go sweaters and sweatshirts.
Did you have to like go buy some stuff?
No, we packed pretty well.
Okay.
We packed pretty well.
That's
but then we came back and we hit New York City for a couple days, which was awesome. I hate driving in New York City. Hate it so much that I'll never ever do it again. If I go back, I'm gonna Uber.
Yeah.
Which and we
Subways
walked.
aren't bad.
Yeah, and the subway. We took the subway too, and it was good. We went to 9/11 museum, but we also 8 blocks from Madison Square Garden, right across the street from the #1 Broadway show, which is Harry Potter and the Cursed Child, which was really good. Highly recommended. But we had a great time.
That's awesome.
Great time.
That's awesome. And now you're back here.
Now I'm back
in
here.
the Quad Cities. It's
ready
50 degrees and raining, and you're hanging out with me.
That's okay because it was about 50 degrees in Canada.
It's okay.
So,
all right. You're ready for it. We are at Hungry Hobo in Rock Island. Thank you once again to Hungry Hobo, the fantastic sponsors, not just of Off the Air with Matt Randazzo, but of, in particular, the Ness Guess segment. We did good last week. You were 15-4. I was 15-4.
Yeah.
So we evened up. So you're still at 4 on the series in the week season.
Technically, I was 16-3, and you were 14-5 because the Giants. I had marked down the Giants as a winner with about 5 minutes left in that game.
Because they were up 26-8 with like 7-8 minutes to go.
Yeah.
Somebody put something up there. I'm not going to get it wrong, but like basically the teams that have been up by that amount in the fourth quarter, they were like perfect. They were like 100 and whatever and 0. They were undefeated.
I marked it as a win.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden I'm looking and they're going for an extra point to go up by 3, and he misses it.
Yeah.
And then that's enough time for
why they were so soft and they played prevent, let them get in the field goal range.
Goodness.
And
like I think
what are you gonna do, Ness? You win a few, you lose a few.
I know, but I think one of those Giant players or Denver players were entered in the Ness Guess contest. I'm just saying.
I probably should. So basically, we busted even. So you're up 4 on the season. Still a lot of time left to go.
And we're halfway. This is the halfway point, right?
Oh, wow.
Isn't it right?
Week 8. I think we're doing 17.
We're doing 17. Okay, so 8.5.
Yeah. So
we're getting close. We're getting close.
Week 17's funky because like they'll sit people and like
know.
it'll be interesting, but we'll still do it.
Hopefully, I'll be up by 9 or 10.
That's God. So the loser gets to put it. The loser takes a pie in the face from the winner. Yep. It's happened in the past on television, and Ness is always the one that is giving.
Always.
So like, hopefully, you're not so giving this year near the holidays, and I can actually give you a pie.
What was incredible was our Ness Guess entrance and how well they did.
Yeah.
I mean, 18-1.
Yes.
I don't know what game you missed.
You know, I had several people reach out to me and say, like, I think I'm in it. Like, I think I won. And it's funny because you have them all on there.
Yeah.
And Thomas Smith from Alderman was one of them. And Thomas, you weren't up there. No,
he might have.
He was probably the 2 to the 3. He probably lost 3.
Yeah, well, there's 16 and 5.
Okay.
Yeah, 9
so
and
we were
16 and
15-4,
5.
which is
we're
not
15-4. So there was only 16 people
Yeah.
out of all the entries that beat us. We did well.
Yeah,
we did
no,
well.
I think so.
But 18-1.
So tell us the winner.
Brian Swanson.
Beautiful.
I can't remember what game he missed. Was it Jaguars?
I can't remember either.
Your wife had it.
Yeah.
I can't remember what she said. You should remember.
No, I should.
Okay. We had 6 at 17-2.
So 6 in second place.
6-7.
Don't ever listen. Just look away.
No,
anytime they see
but
it,
I love.
they
No,
do it.
I teach. So
I know it. I know it.
Dan Garza, Jeremy Adolphson.
That's awesome.
Isn't that great? We mentioned him like in week 2.
Yep.
Back when he entered when he was 10 years old. Now he's back.
Yeah.
Just missing.
Yes.
Douglas Gonzalez.
Okay.
Dan Lee again. We've had him before. He was a runner-up before, bridesmaid of the year. Jeremy Oaks.
That's a friend of mine out in the Rockridge area. And he thought so. He's one of the people that texted me like,
oh, really?
I think I got this. And you were close, Jeremy.
Yep.
But no cigar.
1 away. And then we would have had tiebreaker, which you mentioned is important. And Jake Scudder.
You don't know base. He stick to baseball.
That's baseball. I'm baseball, not football.
Yeah. So I do love that both the Alderman baseball coach and the Rock Island baseball coach are both in the contest as well. So it's a blast. It's easy to do. When you're watching this, you'll be able to see the link on my social media, Ness's social media as well. We're gonna pump it out there a lot because I feel like last week we kind of let things slip a little bit. It was a busy week.
My fault.
You on the cruise,
I won't go back to Canada.
While you were hanging out, I was working hard and going to Iowa City like twice.
That's
and then
true. Yeah.
We were on the road.
Hawkeye men,
3
Hawkeye
times.
women.
Yeah, so we're going to rock and roll this week as well. So I do want to get to the games this week because I think it's a really good slate.
Oh, the NFL. Well, the
college is awesome.
The college is
NFL.
The NFL.
But here's the thing: is when you think it's easy, that's when it's
that's
when it's crazy.
Okay, that fly.
If you go ahead and hit me. That's fine. No, you gotta kill it though. I don't know what it is. 'Cause it's cold out right now. And I looked earlier, and he wasn't bothering me, so I just let him be.
He has not moved.
No, I know. I just let him be because I was like, he's being a good pet. Like, he's like my pet fly.
He was distracting me. I thought maybe it was a plant. Maybe you're trying to distract me.
So, well, let's go with it, and we'll start with college football.
Okay, yeah.
We're gonna start with the Illini.
Okay.
They go west. They're coming
Washington.
off a bye against Washington. Both teams 5-2. We had Ked Prince on the show yesterday, and we kind of disagree a little bit. We disagree a lot. Ked thinks that if they run the table, they're in the college football playoffs still. They'd be 10-2.
Yeah.
Now, this is the hardest game they have left.
Well, then the other, yeah.
They have like
Ohio
Rutgers
State.
left. They have Maryland left. They have
winnable games.
like very winnable games.
Yeah.
Northwestern is an interesting game because Northwestern's playing better, but this is the toughest game they have left. So they would be 10-2. And you're right. They'd be. And here's the thing: they lost to number 1 ranked Ohio State and number 2 ranked Indiana.
Yeah.
The problem is they lost 97-26 combined.
Yeah, but
that's the thing that I look at. That's like I don't know if whether 2 team. But anyways, with that being said, a big game.
He thinks
for
they
them.
get into playoffs.
They could get in at 10-2 because 4 Big Ten teams are going to make the playoffs.
Yeah.
And so they'd be that 4th team because Penn State's not there anymore. It's probably Indiana, Ohio
Correct,
State,
yeah.
Oregon,
Yeah.
and there's probably going to be one other.
Yeah.
It could be Iowa if Iowa can run
Could
off
be,
the table.
could be,
so,
could be.
so yes, a very important game. They go west.
That's
There's
some
that
great
whole
insight,
thing.
Kedrick.
Yeah,
Very
well,
nice.
and Ken also said on the show, you should watch the show more. 23-1,
during the day.
23-1 in their last 24 home games. Washington.
Yeah, 23-1.
Yeah, something like that.
Wow.
They're really good. So both teams 5-2.
I didn't know that one.
Yeah. So with that being said, since you're back and refreshed and ready to rock, your thoughts on Illinois at Washington?
Washington's a 4.5 point
saw that.
favorite.
Yep.
But I was looking at their games. They are 5-2, same as the Illini.
Mm-hmm.
And I was looking at their wins and their losses, and I wasn't impressed.
Yeah.
I'm more impressed with the Illini schedule, even though you get the 2 losses. But they played the number 1 and 2. Washington hasn't played 1 and 2.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna side with Kedrick's theory, rationale, whatever you want to call it, his insight that I really like the idea of Illinois playing in the playoffs.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go with that. I'm buying in. Ked.
All right.
Ked used to write for
Yeah.
my sports section, so I think that's a perfect reason
the
to
good
go
old
with
days.
the Illini. Are you going the other way?
Washington.
Yeah.
Right away.
I thought
just because
so.
I'll take
Well,
one.
you
I like
kinda-
the fact that I was going to go Washington either
Were you?
as well. I don't know what it is. Ked brought this up too. Why is it a big deal when people talk about going from like time zone to time zone?
Well,
it's a 2:30 game, so that's 12:30 here. Even if it was an 11 a.m. game, it'd be 9 o'clock.
And you got
here.
all
It's
all
not
week
like you
to
fall
prepare.
asleep on the field. You
Yeah.
wake up regardless.
Well, it's different when you go to Canada.
Yes.
'Cause, I mean, I'm sleeping later, but I'm not playing football. Yeah, but you're right.
So, but I'll take Washington at home. I think it's gonna be a good football game. And you
Yeah.
know what? If they do win Illinois, then run the table and then let the chips
in
fall where they
in
win.
your favor, as you recall, the history of this Ness Guess season is that I have been finding it very difficult to pick Illinois games.
Yeah.
Maybe Illinois wants me to pick Washington.
Yeah, they probably Illinois fans want you to pick Washington.
Yeah, I know,
you
that's what I'm saying. But I'm going to Illinois, and I'm gonna break the streak.
All right.
I picked Illinois to win. Oh, the Ohio State. Did we pick that one? No, because that was when I was gone.
We picked Ohio State.
We were gone.
We both picked Ohio State.
Oh, did we?
Well,
Okay.
you still put your picks in.
So I got that one. That one.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So
one of my former students.
Oh, that's awesome. Also,
who just got married.
Well, there you go.
Congratulations.
So with that being said, we'll move on to I'm going to leave Iowa to last.
Okay.
Iowa State and BYU. BYU up
That's-
to 11th in the country. They're
Yeah.
undefeated. They just beat Utah.
They beat Utah, and we both picked Utah.
Have you seen BYU's stadium?
I've not.
It's beautiful, man.
Really?
The mountains are right behind it. All that. Anyways, I
that
I
makes
noticed
sense.
it the other day.
That makes sense.
With that being said, do you want me? I'll go first on this.
Okay.
one.
Yep.
I think it's a good spot for Iowa State. They've lost 2 straight. They got a bye week. It's at Jack Trice Stadium.
Yep.
I feel like BYU, while they're playing good, are they going to run the table in college football? Nobody does that. It's a good spot. I think Iowa State is a 2.5-point underdog.
2.5-point favorite.
Point
no,
favorite.
The line switched.
Wow.
BYU is a 1.5-point favorite to begin with, when the line opened, and now it's Iowa State by 2.5.
Wow. Well, I like that. Makes me feel better. I'm going to go Iowa State. I think it's that signature win at Iowa State. I think they're due. Boy, they're looking at undefeated and playing really well and going to the college football playoffs. Now they've lost 2 straight. I don't see them losing a 3rd straight at home. Give me the Cyclones.
Yeah, I know.
I hope my rationale didn't convince you to go otherwise.
Well, no, I really like Iowa State. I keep saying Iowa State.
Both of them.
Tripping
Likes
over my
both
tongue.
of them.
I like them both.
Yeah.
I have BYU as my pick, and you kind of convinced me to go the other way, but I really can't do that.
This is why I like you.
Now I know.
This is why.
And here's the thing. You got the 2 favorites. You got Washington and Iowa State. I could be down to just a 2-game lead heading into the NFL.
Could be.
I mean, I know.
Could be.
And you know what?
So are you picking BYU?
I'm picking the Cougars.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm picking the Cougars. I don't know why.
It always works out.
I don't know why. And some of these college games, I just pick them and pray.
Yeah.
And
you don't pray when you're watching football at church.
No. Well, no.
But luckily, there's no more. I guess there is.
Is there more?
But I don't think. I think there's a break. I think there's a break right now, and then they come back for 2 more later.
I got a guy next to me, and he's a special needs guy that I kind of care for during church service. Whenever I look at myself
he's calling
to
you
get
out.
a score. Well, no, he's checking it out too. He's looking. I don't know. He never asked me what the score is.
Corrupting the rest of the congregation.
But I love him, and it's good.
That's awesome.
It's funny. It was like 3 weeks in a row. Although I was out of town this week.
So we're 2 different right off the bat.
I know.
All right, let's see if we can find some common ground.
If I lose my 4-game lead in week 8.
So we got Iowa and Minnesota. It's up in Iowa City.
Yep.
The Hawkeyes, that line keeps getting bigger and bigger. They opened at 6.5. I sold up to 8.5.
I think it's 8.5.
The way Iowa played on Saturday, they won a game.
Yep.
And I was up there. We've talked a ton about it. They won a game. They didn't play well.
Yep.
And that I think is a good sign for Iowa that they made a lot of mistakes. Usually game-changing mistakes you can't make up. And they end up winning. They own PJ Fleck. It's a rivalry. Everyone calls it a rivalry, but they've only won one time against Iowa State or against Iowa, and it was the fair catch with Cooper DeJean that wasn't a fair catch.
Yeah,
that people still argue about to this day.
Yeah, and rightfully so.
I like Iowa. I like where they're at. They got a bye week after this. Give me the Hawkeyes.
Hawkeyes too.
Okay.
I mean, it's just to me, it's a no-brainer. It's probably the easiest one of.
And here's the thing, Ness, real fast.
Of all the games
and I think Kaker brought it up on the show too. The line moved early, like right away on a Sunday. The only people that are betting on college football when the lines come out right away are the sharps. Are the smart people. You're not like on a normal better.
So what you're saying is the line shifts make a difference?
I think early on they do because it means like a normal. We're watching football, watching NFL. We're not sitting. The only people that are waiting for these college football lines to come out are the sharp guys who knows what they're doing. So I think it bodes well for Iowa.
What you're telling me is I probably should change my BYU
I don't know
Iowa
anything.
State.
I'm not saying you can't change anything now. It's on tape. You can't change it. So that's the college. There's other really good games in college football. I think we're gonna have 6 of them up there this week. So go check out the college football picks as well. We'll switch to the NFL where the Chicago Bears. It's like you went away on vacation and you come back and the Bears are one of the. They're 4-2. They've won 4 straight games.
Yeah,
and they're at 1 win Baltimore.
Yeah, and Swift had 100 yards rushing.
Two games in a row.
2 games in a row. I picked the Bears as my top confidence pick last week, which was a key because I'm in this. I don't even. It's not national. It's local.
Yeah.
But there's 16 people left out of like maybe 50 something.
Okay.
But everybody else is picking the Lions and the Bills and the Chiefs.
Yeah.
I picked the Bears, which I think is a great pick.
Yeah.
Because it's down lower. So now when the season goes on, all the Lions are still available to me. The Chiefs still available.
So it's like a survivor pick.
It's a survivor. It's exactly a survivor. Yeah. That's exactly what it is. But the Bears.
That's a gutsy pick.
Yeah, I know.
Hats off to you.
Hats off to my son who tried to talk me out of it.
Yeah.
He tried to talk me into the Chiefs,
which was the no-brainer.
Which everybody else picked the Chiefs, and I thought, well, the Raiders could upset, but no, they were out of it. They were out of it.
But now you still have the Chiefs later.
But now I still have Chiefs.
You could
later.
use the Chiefs this week if you want to, because they play
could.
Washington
I
at
could,
Arrowhead, and
but
there's
I'm kinda,
no Jaden Daniels.
Yeah, but I'm kind of thinking. So I always go against the really bad teams.
Yeah.
My theory is
find the bad team.
Don't pick the good team. Pick the team that's going against the bad team.
Yeah, it's not a bad.
Yeah, that's what I do.
Especially at home, if you can get like that bad team on the road.
And so I got the Bucks playing at the Saints, which looked really, really good to me.
Yeah.
But the one that looked better was the Falcons playing the Dolphins.
That's where I think I'm going too.
The Dolphins are so much in disarray right now. Their coach, I'm surprised he didn't get fired yet, and maybe he will be.
You look at him and you want him to get fired.
Yeah.
Like, right? You look at him on the sideline with like little curly hair coming out of his hat, and you're like,
I saw a quote that wasn't even a quote. I mean, he was mumbling.
Yeah.
He didn't even know what he was saying.
I love it. Well, you and I are on the same page there.
And I thought Tua was going to be a good quarterback, but he can't keep the team together. They're fighting. And so I'm going I hate if anybody's in my group.
I love how we turned our Bears pick into what we're doing Survivor-wise. But no, this is the kind of knowledge that you get in Survivor that you don't normally get. This week it's the Bears at the Ravens.
Yeah.
Your thoughts on that?
Well, I think I read where Jackson may be back.
Yeah.
It's looking like he will be.
Yeah.
Man, it all comes down. I think it comes down to if he's back or not.
Yep.
And we really don't know.
Yeah, it's Tuesday.
So we're
right
it's and the show is.
Do you want to
Wednesday.
put the caveat that we can switch them?
No,
because everybody else gets till noon on set one, so it's up to you.
Because I'm going to go Ravens.
Okay.
I'm going to go Ravens. I'm going to hope that you go Bears. No.
Well, and I say this
Bears.
nicely because I don't want to be the guy that hates on the Bears, and you should be thrilled. And I think they got the coach right and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But they've beaten bad teams and they've turned them, and they've gotten takeaways to do it, and that's not a bad thing. You have to be. You don't schedule who you schedule, and these are games they normally lose, so they're winning. But I think the Ravens are 1-5. They're a good football team, and they have to win this game. And if Lamar Jackson's coming back at home, they're not going to go to 1-6 and lose to the Bears.
Yeah,
in fact, I almost convinced
power
myself
rankings. Baltimore is 25 out of 32.
Yeah. But with that being said, that's without Lamar. The last time they played with Lamar full time was when my Lions beat them. But other than that, so I'm going Ravens as well. You think about switching?
Man, let me think about that. I'm going Ravens for now.
Okay.
By the end of the show, I may switch. Let's see what we're at.
By Sunday at 6, he may switch depending on what happens.
I'll tell you
I'm
what.
just kidding.
The pick that you see in print is the one. So I can say Ravens now.
Yeah.
But in the what do I got? 4 hours until I actually send Dazzo my picks by email. I may change. I did that once before.
Yeah, which is okay.
And I think it worked.
Yeah, because a lot of things change. And we're doing this on Tuesday.
And
injuries and all that kind of stuff happen.
I have to have it in by Tuesday night. So
I'm okay with it.
Yeah.
You can switch if you need to.
Well, I'm sticking.
How about this one? How about the Green Bay Packers at Pittsburgh playing their old friend, their old rival, Aaron Rodgers?
Oh, Aaron Rodgers, Joe Flacco was interesting.
Yeah.
85 years age between them.
Yeah.
in an NFL game.
The oldest,
and that's probably why I'm going to go Packers. Aaron Rodgers, I think the hype will be there, but I don't think the hype is going to match the game level of what the Packers can put on the table.
Yeah.
I think Jordan Love and everything that he has for weapons, I think they can harass Rodgers. Pittsburgh has done some interesting things last couple weeks against the Bengals, and then wasn't it the Browns?
Yeah.
So and he was crying because Joe Flacco went to the Bengals from the Browns.
Yeah.
Their coach was Tomlin.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go Packers. I'm a Packer fan anyway. So I feel comfortable saying Packers.
3 out of 5 games we're going to be different because I'm going Steelers.
Ooh.
I like him at home. I think Aaron Rodgers has a little something left. If he has anything left, which he's played okay this year.
Yeah.
If he's got anything left, it's going to be against these guys, and it's in Pittsburgh. And you look at the Packers since everybody crowned them after week 1. They've tied the Cowboys. They've lost to the Browns, and it wasn't pretty last week to Arizona.
Browns,
they had to win that in the final seconds of that one. So I like the home team. I like like Aaron Rodgers factor. So we have 3 out of 5 different.
Wow.
I love it.
And that's a good one, too.
What was the last one we were going to do? I can't remember. We checked it. Was
we
it
were gonna do
Dallas and Denver? I want to go back to Dallas and Denver.
Okay, yeah, because we had said the Giants
Denver
and
got
the
you
Eagles.
last week.
We said the Giants and the
Which
Eagles.
one do you want to do? You tell me. You get to pick.
I think I think we're both going to take the Eagles.
Yes, so let's do the other
So
one.
let's do the other one.
I have no idea. I know what I know,
And
but I
the
don't know
Giants, I'm really mad at the Giants. I have a New York Knicks hat because I got to go to Madison Square Garden and see the Knicks play the
And
Hornets.
you never been.
I'd never been.
Yeah.
And I was just like, I was in heaven.
That's pretty
Because
cool.
19,500 people watching a preseason NBA game. It was crazy. And I thought the Knicks would romp. They got up by 20. Then they're up by 2, 3.
Oh, wow.
It was a really good flow, ebb and flow. I almost caught a Knicks shirt.
Oh.
Like,
then you would have been wearing that.
They do that rat-a-tat-tat
Yeah.
thing with the shirts, and goes right there. And the guy sitting next to my wife was trying to reach over, but I had a hand on it. It fell in the hands of a kid. Which made me feel good.
Yes.
Because if I caught it, do I
You
give it
would
to
have
the
had to give it
kid?
to him,
Do I give it to the kid? Do I keep it? Now I don't have to worry about it because I can say I touched the shirt.
There you go.
All right. So anyway, we're going to do Dallas and Denver.
Dallas and Denver. So
Dallas
it's the
and
Cowboys
Denver.
playing really good football right now. Denver, looked bad all game until the last
6 minutes. Yeah.
Then they played great.
And Dallas has looked decent.
Yeah, they hammered the Commanders without Shane Daniels got hurt during the game, but they've been playing a lot better.
Wow. You want me to go first? Of course you do.
I can if you want me to. I know what I'm going to do.
You know what you're going to do?
Yeah.
Okay, let me hear what you're going to do.
Give me Denver. I'm not going to give you any reason or rationale. I'm going to go Denver just because the fact that they did me well last week by getting me a victory against the Giants and coming back and getting me that win. So that's just pure
This is good. This is good because I'm taking Dallas.
I love it.
I'm taking Dallas for a couple reasons. First of all, Denver made me mad.
Yes.
I mean, come on.
Yeah.
I should be up by 6.
Yes.
Instead I'm up by 4 and barely hanging on.
And we have 4 different now.
And the other thing is Dallas has played really well lately. And they've been putting points on the board.
CeeDee Lamb's back.
And they're putting points on the board.
George Pickens is good.
Yeah, I'm really liking the way. And even though they're on the road, Denver, I'm not a big Knicks N-I-X, not K-N-I-C-X.
Well played.
So I should, if I wore my Knicks hat, then I might feel obligated to pick Denver for the Knicks, but I did not.
Yeah.
Now, I'll tell you what, if Dallas wins, I'm wearing my Knicks hat
there you go.
next week.
Yes.
Okay? Because I will be happy that Knicks lost.
Yes.
So we got a game plan here. I'm going to take the Cowboys, and we have 4 out of 5.
That's
different.
so good for me.
And I'm up by 4, and I think you're just relishing
and that's
this.
just the start.
You've got.
We'll get the rest of them out there, but we can. This could be another 6.
We had 1 week.
6,
7. Where's your kid at over there?
He's over there.
We had 8 different 1 week.
Yeah.
So and that was a.
I did talk to Dan Burch, by the way.
Yeah, what did he say?
And he loves the fact we brought this back. And he talked about how back in the day, you guys played off each other so well, and how
great.
sometimes it was like he's like, Ness got it. Ness got the entertainment factor as well. Yes, you want to get him right and pick, but you have to have the entertainment factor as well. And he was super jealous. We're gonna get him in one of this week.
Yeah, that'd be
one
nice.
Of these weeks, I think it'd be a bunch of fun as well.
I'm worried though because
I like that.
Yeah, you're picking favorite. I'm almost playing like I'm behind, and I'm really not. I'm
well, with that being said, we have to know. It's been a bunch of fun doing this. After this week, we'll be halfway through the Ness Guess contest. We're getting a lot of great feedback with it. We love that people are excited that it's back.
Get your entries in by Saturday morning.
Get online, get them on to us Saturday morning at 11. We'll be back next week to figure out how everybody's done and get your winners as well. Ness, I say good luck, but I don't mean it.
Yeah, well, that's okay. It's good to be back in the States.
Yes.
It's going to be back at Hungry Hobo.
Yes.
This is just a great deal.
Yes.
It's really fun. A couple people stopped me and say, "Hey, I'm glad you're back doing this again." And I said, "Hey, you got to thank Hungry Hobo.
Yes.
You got to go get yourself a turkey sandwich, or a baked potato or something."
All that kind of stuff.
But thanks, Dazzo, bringing it up.
I had to
was that over the summer?
Yeah. Well, you came out to the house in the spring. I want to say
spring. Yeah.
And I said, "Why don't we do this?" And you're like,
said,
you didn't seem overly excited. You're like,
I wasn't.
Maybe.
I really wasn't.
And
but now I'm
back,
pumped up. Fired up. If I'd be down by 4 at this point, I'd be mad and saying, "I knew I shouldn't have done this. I'm rusty."
Yes. Well, no, you're not rusty. You're back doing what you do best. So
yeah, it's good.
All right,
and it's fun.
I appreciate you, Ness. We got more to get to. Make sure you get signed up for Ness Guess. We'll be back on Off the Air right after this.
Hello, Dan Pearson here of FCA. Our team is thrilled to support Off the Air with our good friend Matt Randazzo. We share the view of the power of sport when it comes to relationships, including the influence of the coach. FCA believes the coach is the most influential person in America. Matt celebrates local coaches and athletes. His content is informational, insightful, and inspirational. Our Fellowship of Christian Athlete team loves partnering with Off the Air with Matt Randazzo while we engage, equip, and empower coaches and athletes in our 23 counties. FCA, the heart and soul in sports.
View from the West, the podcast covering Illinois high school football.
It's going to be a hard-hitting game. It's going to be great football.
Weekly analysis and reaction from around the western side of the state of Illinois.
This is the game we had circled when the year started.
Follow along on YouTube and subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts.
It's big-time football out there tonight, and I know we can play big-time football.
View from the West. We got you covered.
Are you looking for the Quad City's best chips and salsa? There's only one dude to turn to.
Right on.
Snoop. Hand-cut chips, fried fresh with that crunch you've come to love. And the most addicting salsa with delicious fresh ingredients each and every time. Pick up your chips and salsa, queso, enchiladas, and much more at the Stern Center in Rock Island. To place your order, simply call the man himself. It's Snoop at 309-314-8197 and find out for yourself what the rest of the Quad Cities already loves. Welcome back to Off the Air with Matt Randazzo here on a Wednesday, October 22nd. It's been another fun show here as we get through Hump Day and get towards the end of the week. It's a good week in the Randazzo house because kids have like fall break coming up. So I guess it's good for them. For me, that's a different question. But half day tomorrow and then they're off Friday and Monday. So yeah. Hopefully they behave themselves and they're not yelling and screaming during the show. But if you're just joining us, I really, really enjoyed our first guest, Mike Grimm, the voice of the Gophers, joining us. He's a Manchester, Iowa native. I like to say he's under the Gary Dolphin tree. A lot of tutelage from Gary Dolphin. He's been in Minneapolis or in Minnesota for 15 years for football, 20, I think, for basketball. So doing an outstanding job. So he joined us to, talk about the influence of Gary Dolphin, the job that Pat Anger is doing, which I thought was kind of the fun stuff. And then obviously we talked about the fight for Floyd this weekend, Iowa and Minnesota coming up 2:30 at Kinnick Stadium. So if you missed that interview, go back and check it out. A ton of fun and really fun to catch up with and get to know Mike a little bit. I'm hoping to track him down this weekend as well. So also Ty Taylor was on his normal Wednesday morning slot to talk about the TRAC. And one thing I kind of liked talking to him about was how is the TRAC and that conference going to do in the postseason? How is it going to equate to postseason victories? Because they don't play outside the conference. The two divisions play cross division and then they play in your own division. So there's no comparison on, this team went down to this area and won or lost, or up to Rockford and won and lost, and all those kind of things. Northwest Illinois. So intriguing to kind of see how that goes. So we talked with Ty Taylor about that. We also just got wrapped up with Marc Nesseler. Ness Guess is back in a matter of 10 minutes, 15, 20 minutes. All of the stuff will be online. So go click the link. Fill out your picks, completely free, a lot of fun to do. The tiebreaker is important at the very end. This week was not a tiebreaker, but several weeks it is a tiebreaker. And then if you win really good food from Hungry Hobo. So it's a no-brainer. Go fill it out and partake. And also this Wednesday morning, we listened to Brian Stacking sing. It was from the View from the West Instant Reax from Friday, but always good to have Brian Stacking on the show in one way, shape, or form. During the show, a few things came out that I thought was really cool. One, when it comes to Iowa football, and I gotta cheat a little bit and find where it's at. But Aaron Graves has been named a finalist for the, wait for it, good TV right here, for the William V. Campbell Trophy. Of course, Jack Campbell won that back in 2022, and it was cool because today they found out, or Aaron Graves found out, with a message from Jack Campbell. So if you go to the Iowa Hawkeye football Twitter account, you can check it out. Kind of cool to see. So he is a William Campbell Trophy finalist. It goes to the nation's best for academic success, football performance, and leadership. And when Jack Campbell won it, it was a big deal, and rightfully so. And he was the one who got to tell Aaron Graves that he's a finalist for this year's award as well. So I thought that was very, very cool. Coming up, the rest of the week is jam-packed. Tomorrow we'll have Jake Brando. He normally joins us on Wednesdays. Jake is at Big 12 Media Day right now, I believe, in Kansas City, so for basketball. So we'll get caught up on what he found out today, what that looks like for the Cyclones, big picture-wise in the Big 12. But then also a big game. One of the biggest games in the nation is BYU at Iowa State this week. Iowa State no longer ranked, but ranked most of the season. They've lost 2 straight games. Can they get back to Jack Trice Stadium coming off a bye and hand BYU their first loss of the season? I think they can. So we'll talk with Jake Brand coming up on tomorrow's show as well. Also, we'll be joined today, this evening, is Augustana Basketball Media Day. So we'll have our good friend Jordan Delp join us on the show tomorrow to talk about Augustana Viking basketball, which is right around the corner. So I'm excited to get to check to my good friend Jordan Delp as well. So we're looking to go on the road on Friday. We haven't decided for sure, but we'll probably be out on the road on Friday. And then don't forget, coming up on Saturday, the Iowa Hawkeye football game. We'll have the pregame starting with the Hawkeye Tailgate Show. Everywhere you are in the state of Iowa on the Hawkeye Radio Network here in the Quad Cities, it is vintage 107.7 WQUD on the FM dial. So check us out, 12:30 if you're at Kinnick Stadium. Find us at Krause Plaza, stop by, say hi, and get ready for a big game between Minnesota and the Golden Gophers, what should be a really, really good game as well. So I want to thank everyone for watching. I appreciate the support. We'll be back with a brand new show coming up again tomorrow. And most importantly, we thank all our sponsors for allowing us to do this show each and every day right here around 10 a.m. Thank you guys so much for watching. We will see you guys back here again tomorrow.